Okay. I would like to welcome you all to the Thursday, July 13th, 2023 meeting of the Bellingham Planning Board. We're going to take the agenda out of order because we've had some requests for continuing. So the first item this evening will be the DPW building site plan review. This is not a public hearing, and we do not need a motion to open this discussion. Jim, can you bring us up to date on this?
Absolutely. Good evening, Jim Kupfer. Yes, the DPW building is before, or the site is before the planning board, as the town, as they're exploring their options for the DPW building, has determined some opportunities for expansion of stormwater in order to meet the town's MS4 requirements. As you guys know, we've been trying to seek opportunities throughout town to do this, and now that we are relocating our DPW facility or part of it to Depot Street, I know the former director and the current director were looking at opportunities for MS4 compliance, and so they have expanded the site disturbance to include the stormwater management. In reviewing the disturbance proposal, myself, the building commissioner, and the DPW director believed that it should come to the planning board due to the size of the disturbance. But it would just trigger a site plan review. As you guys are well versed in, a site plan review is not a development plan review. Site plan review is an advisory role this planning board takes in order to provide any findings or opportunities for improvement for the proposal. The deliverable here is a motion to make recommendations back to the building commissioner and ultimately stamped in with the town clerk. The final deliverable again could be recommendations for improvements, or if satisfactory, that you find that it's satisfactory as proposed. And with that, I believe our town staff is there to present.
Well,
How you doing?
go forward and introduce yourself.
So, Tim Cardy, Building Commissioner. Jesse Rattle, Bellingham DPW Director.
Thank you for coming here this evening. So
So,
give us an overview of what's going on.
yeah, so we have some elevations, and we also have, so we're here tonight for an A&R plan. We're acquiring a piece of property that's, the neighbor was gracious enough to sell to the town. It went through town meeting in the fall and was approved, so we're here for an A&R tonight to be signed. It's an extra 20 feet that the abutter actually sold to us, which makes our site more accommodating for the office building. So that's one of our functions tonight. So what we wanted to show you is just run down. So this, I don't know, probably, I'm not sure if anyone was on the board when this was approved. This was a fully approved site plan when they built the buildings down there on the DPW site existing at 215.
By the previous owner.
Excuse me?
By the previous owner, right?
Yeah, by the previous owner. So he had two buildings there, existing steel buildings. And he had an approval for two additional buildings, which was all approved through the planning board. He actually went in and did the septic systems, all the water connections, they were all there existing for the expansion. So if this plan here, here's Depot Street here. This is an existing building. This is an existing building. So this is the parking and everything. It's paved. This site here and this site here was approved with the original site plan. They came back after and got another the expansion for these buildings approved. So here we are today with these two buildings, and this is the proposed office building that the DPW is going to be moving into once it's completed. So this building here, there's no plan for that, but I guess they could expand into that possibly in the future if needed. They're still keeping their site on Blackstone Street, and the use for Blackstone Street.
Yep, so the site of Blackstone Street is going to remain as our operations in the winter time for salt salting operations, for example. We're somewhat limited with the amount of space that we're able to use here on Depot Street. While it does come with a great value to the town, it's also limited in that we have our salt operations, our shed, things of that nature back at Blackstone Street. So the future plan is to move the bulk of the operations to this new site, the office staff included. But when it comes to our mechanics or winter ops, we'll still have Blackstone Street to revert back to and actually pull the material from and use as we need. It's also a good laydown site for storage of materials and things of that nature, because this site is somewhat smaller in the grand scheme of things, and there's no room to expand with the gas line in the back and the tracks and all that stuff. So there is usability of 26 Blackstone Street in addition to 15 Depot.
The advantage to this site that attracted us to this was the amount of garage space. We've, over the years, purchased a lot of expensive equipment through the, for our roads and to take care of the roads, and also the sewer, the back truck, and we've invested a lot of money in equipment. These existing buildings are able to house them all inside. A lot of these vehicles were stored outside, winter, summer, and it's just really worked out really well.
If I could piggyback off of that a little bit as well. So the sewer vehicle that Tim is speaking of, for example, it was a $500,000 vehicle that holds water. And in the winter time, you can imagine that's problematic. We needed to find an offsite vendor to house this. So this allowed us, our own site, to properly house this for the winter season, obviously for freezing conditions, but in the summertime as well for, various reasons. We want to protect our property. So this site really allowed us to get everything inside in a timely manner. So the buildings are quite useful. They've been fantastic. Now it's a matter of expanding our office operations.
They've grown out of the existing office space down at the DPW, and very costly to upgrade it. So this was just a kind of a no-brainer for that, to create some offices, get it modernized, and this was a perfect opportunity to do it. So we went to town meeting, as you guys know, and we got approved $2.5 million to build a new office facility. It's totally designed right now, and it is going to be scheduled to be going out to bid by the end of, it should be all bid by the end of August.
That's the plan, yes.
So we'll know what it comes in at by the end of August. But there was a building committee. We've been meeting for the past 8 months or so, going through the whole process. We just completed the process, and our full design is completed and it's going out to bid. So we wanted to give you some pictures. Any questions on this existing plan here?
Are the buildings large enough that you can perform any work on the trucks that you may need to do, or things like that?
Internally in the buildings
Yeah.
themselves? Yeah, so they are large enough, to answer the question, yes, they are large enough to do work internally inside of the buildings. But our main intent, our goal is to still use Blackstone Street for the bulk of the mechanical type work. The reason behind that as well is with our MS4 requirement, we are expected to wash our vehicles indoors. So when the vehicles do come inside, we spray them down in their sewer with a water oil separator at Blackstone Street. There's no sewer potential at this 215 Depot. So the intent is, or the expectation is to do that type of operation back at Blackstone Street.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we do have some rendering. This is so this is the final. This is the one of the elevations. This is the front elevation. There's parking here in the front. So this elevation here is, I'll show you what the site plan is right here. So you pull into the site, and this would be customer parking. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So customer parking here, and this is the vestibule. So this is the front of the building. The A faces the customer parking, and there's a little decorative area. This is like a composite design here. The side wall of the building is going to be extruded steel siding in color. The colors haven't been nailed down totally yet, but that's probably coming up after it's bid. The committee will get together again and choose some of the final colors on the building. That hasn't been completed yet, but it's all maintenance free. I think it's a 50-year life on the skin. It is an asphalt roof shingle, 50-year shingle that's going to be on the roof.
Actually, that hasn't been decided. just-
Yeah, we may do steel.
It's at, so we have it as a bid item, it's now alternate, depending on where the bids come in at, if they're favorable. We'd like to push for a steel roof just for the longevity, but if they come in higher than expected, we have the ability to revert back to the asphalt shingle at this point.
So this is a section, which is gonna create natural light for the interior. Half the building is a open office space, concept, and half of it is conference.
So these windows that you're seeing right here are actually located along the top here, and it's actually gonna allow natural light to enter the entire building.
This is the basic, this is the footprint of it. This is, the majority of it is slab, it's slab, building. We were able to, afford a small area of basement. We wanted to do the whole thing basement, but it was just cost prohibitive. We had to cut it back. Originally, we wanted all basement, but just didn't work. So we were able to, afford, a small area. This is the computer, the SCADA system's going down here, and we do have a little bit of storage. So that's really, it's just a slab construction, 1 story. This is the floor plan. So this is the front of the building. This was the vestibule. And you come in and optional, meeting room here with its own entrance for, any types of meetings where they would have visitors, from, different, whether it's a presenter or a small seminar, they can go right in here without going into the space. But this is the actual entrance. And this is an open floor concept with, these are cubicles for the staff. So this here is a permitting counter that's gonna have a window, so contractors can come in and they don't have to come into the building. They'll be serviced right through this here. There'll be a desk here, and this is just a small conference room.
Right.
Yeah, so just for, if they have to bring in a contractor to review plans, they'll probably just bring them in here versus they won't be using this. This is a conference room and training room for the staff. And so this is the open floor concept. There's 2 administrative offices here. And these here are foreman stations for distributing work for the day, work orders.
We wanted to limit the traffic flow through the entire building by keeping our foreman as close to the exit way as possible. So when the crew does actually come in, we're minimizing the impact and wear and tear on the building itself. So we tried to keep future expansion in mind, in that these cubicles were designed with additional potential future employees. So we did build this building larger to accommodate for future growth.
2 bathrooms to the rear. This is the stairs to go down into the basement. Pretty simple. There's not a lot to it, but it's definitely functional. And it's about 100% better than what they have. It was time. Every other building has been updated in town, and DPW just really has had no investment in it. It was time. So we worked pretty hard on it, and we think we got a pretty good design. So that's about it. That's the site. So any questions?
Right? No. Okay. In any of your other buildings, you have any, like, I don't know, I've never been in the actual work in Montana. Do you have locker rooms for the personnel?
So we have lockers, they're kind of out in the general garage area. It's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. They have their own break room, and a decent sized bathroom, but as far as the locker room, no.
On this plan, on the new building here, the conference room also doubles as a little kitchenette area. There's a refrigerator, sink, and a counter area for the employees. This building is just for office employees. All the staff will be in the warehouse area. Down the road a little bit, we are gonna probably do some work in this building here. And we're probably gonna do, I don't know if it's gonna if it'll be locker rooms, but we have the ability. These are constructed these are really nice buildings. They're in very good condition. The slabs are, it's just a really clean and a nice building. So there's all kinds of options depending on what the needs are. That's about it.
It looks, no, it looks really good. Just quick question, are you planning on doing any fueling or anything outside with this
Oh,
facility?
great question. So actually, we are in the process of removing our underground storage tank at Blackstone Street as we speak. That is actually gonna be the fueling site. So that's actually gonna be maintained as not only part of the winter operations and mechanics area, but the fueling will remain there as well.
Awesome. And then for the buildings, the existing ones where you might be storing the equipment in, I know you're not planning on doing any maintenance, but do you need to do any type of upgrades like floor drains or holding tanks or anything for those, or
Well,
is that not kind of in the scope?
We really don't have the ability, so if we had the ability to go to town sewer, for example, it would be something that we could consider, but unfortunately, without the ability out on Depot Street,
Yeah,
we're
that's
somewhat
out of the
limited.
question.
Yeah, we really gotta contain everything within the site. You know, if there was ever something that took place that we had to get it out of there, we'd actually contain it and, you know, take it out, you know, as we needed.
these were constructed before, well, so something like this. Is
Understood.
that what you're getting at?
Yeah, I was wondering if they had them already or, okay,
No.
gotcha. Or if there was any
Yeah.
intent. to put
It's
those in.
probably, there may be, we'll probably end up at some point, cutting some drains at the doorways and doing, you know, maybe we could probably do some oil tanks with, alarms and vent. You know, but over a certain, it gets catchy because,
Or
look,
say just a holding tank.
yeah, if you were to build these new, you're only allowed to do 3 doors that you could do a smaller system like that.
Yeah,
You know, but we could get a variance and we could do 2 split systems probably,
gotcha.
you know.
No, it makes
Instead
sense.
of reinventing the wheel, digging up the parking lot, putting a tank in and floor work. you know.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely, so, and I really like the idea of kind of keeping the, you know, your salt operations and the fueling operations at the other facility, because I think this might be the aquifer protection. overlay
It's
district.
it's in the watershed district.
Yeah, so, no,
They have a really nice salt shed down there. That's not that.
It's not that old. It was here, before my time, but in the grand scheme of things, it's in great condition.
the salt shed's in better condition than the actual DPW building, is what you're saying.
I gotta go there.
We are very, very thankful for the new site.
Gotcha, no, very, great, it looks great.
That's about it.
I don't have any questions.
Just out of curiosity, once the contract's awarded, what's the proposed timeline to kind of?
So, I think, really, we'd like to the plan is to break ground in September. We want to get the building weather tight before the winter. So if it's awarded, you know, it's a couple of weeks, depending on when, all the bids are back. Then we don't have the exact date yet, but we definitely want to break ground in September. We want to be digging.
I just want to ask a question about where you store, trucks. Simply data sheets, any chemicals?
Great question. So yeah, we are very familiar with the SDS sheets. At Blackstone Street, for example, we have several locations, doorways over at the chemical stations themselves. We house them and we update them as necessary. This is similar to our water treatment plants, same setup. We have, they're essentially hanging storage stations where you can obtain the SDS sheets, and through that, they're classified according to the level of hazard and updated as necessary.
And will they be in place when you store your trucks?
I believe this will have safety data sheet requirements, but at a much smaller capacity.
Okay,
Yeah,
I-1 station?
yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
That's all the questions I have. Jim, anything we might have missed?
No, it's just it's important to note that, you know, this is an approved plan already. So, you know, there's only some slight modifications to stormwater really being proposed, as well as obviously new design overall for the interior of the buildings and the kind of the framing of it. But overall was an approved development plan that had been initiated, as Tim had mentioned, with all the infrastructure in place already when purchased, and obviously town meeting approved of that. So no, nothing further at this
Quick
time.
question, and it maybe if feasible, a quick answer. The enhancement from the MS4 to regular stormwater management, can you address the benefits to the town in case anyone's interested.
Absolutely. So as far as the basin, we're always looking for additional areas for recharge. And the idea with this, acquisition, we would like to increase that, recharge area to get as much water back into the ground as possible. Obviously, with the creation of any sort of impervious surface, we want to make sure that we're countering that and, adding as much back to the aquifer as possible.
So the basin will increase based on the MS4 requirement.
Yes, yeah, any impervious surface, any chance that we have here in Bellingham, we'd like to, whenever we have the ability to obtain additional land, similar to the middle school, the basins go in, it's for that recharge.
Okay. That's fine. I would entertain a motion to accept the site plan as proposed. So, do I have a second?
Second.
As a call for the vote,
Dennis, aye. Brian,
Bill, aye.
Bill, I.
Nick, I.
Motion passes unanimously. Gentlemen, thank you very much for presenting to us.
Thank you.
Do you have to vote on the A and R as well?
We have to send that this evening.
We need to vote to endorse the A and R.
We'll also need a motion to endorse the A and R for Depot Street.
so
We have a second.
I'll second. Nick.
Any discussion? I don't think we have any based on our previous vote. Call for the motion.
Dennis, aye. Brian, aye.
Bill, aye.
Bill, I.
Nick, I.
Can that be signed after the meeting and given to Tim in the morning?
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
Is that
works.
fair?
Yep.
Okay. Again, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you.
Also on the agenda, we have, a request for a continuation for WS Development.
Mhm.
I received a letter there looking to, continue this to, August tenth.
Second.
The motion on the floor is seconded to approve the continuation for, WS to August tenth.
Mhm.
Made and seconded, any discussion? Call for the vote,
Dennis, aye. Brian, aye.
Bill, on.
Bill, I.
Nick, I.
That motion passes unanimously. I believe we also have, a request from Snet Trail, for continuance to August tenth. Amy, can you bring us the reason why?
Basically, right now, Dan American is looking to revise the plans, because there was some additional work that needed to be done on the conservation side of
Okay.
things. And so that's been the delay.
Okay, seems reasonable. I would entertain a motion for continuance to August tenth. Do we need to, change any dates?
No?
Okay. I'm looking for a second.
Second, Bill.
Made and seconded, made by Brian, seconded by Phil. Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Dennis, aye. Brian, aye.
Bill, aye.
Bill, I.
Nick, I.
That motion passes unanimously.
And the covenant for Prospect Hill Estates,
He has
that
not,
would be
he's not received all the proper
correct,
documentation,
so that will be.
so
August
we would
10th.
need a continuation. How long an item will
No,
that be?
we don't even need a continuation for that, because the hearing's been closed. All we need is just, I just wanted to make you aware that the documentation, it needs to be reviewed on the Franklin side, and he'll bring it to us August 10th with everything. He needs some signatures, so that'll take place in August.
Okay. That'd be fine.
Straightforward on our side.
It's a standard document that we had reviewed by council. There was just a few things they needed to just change, nothing major. But they've got to go to Franklin to get signatures there, and then signatures here, and then it'll be recorded, so. It just takes a little bit of time, and the bank needs to sign it, and it's just taking a little bit of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Okay, the next item on our agenda this evening is what we're at this point in time being referred to as Zero Maple Street Development Plan and Stormwater Management Application. This is a new public hearing. I would entertain having someone, excuse me, read the public hearing notice. Brian,
Can we waive it?
are we allowed to waive reading?
I'll move to waive the reading public hearing. I'll second it.
I don't know, I'm tempted to have you read.
What kind of accent?
There's motion on the floor to waive the public hearing. I have some reservations, but that's fine. I'll call for the vote.
Dennis, aye. Brian, aye.
Bill, aye.
Bill, aye.
Aye.
That has been waived.
No, 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 no.
A motion to open the meeting.
So
Have a second?
second.
All in favor of opening the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes unanimously. Sir, the floor is yours. Hold on. Jim, can you give us an overview here?
Absolutely, yes. Just real quick before handing off to the applicant. So what you have before you today is it's a lot of land in the industrial district on Maple Street, just before 495. This board may be familiar with the site. It was an area that was partially cleared a few years back. And the town has been working with the applicant to submit proper permits. I know there was an early delineation of the lot, and I believe they are before conservation now. They are obviously, this is your first opportunity to review this site. This is a 12,000 plus industrial building, single industrial building on a somewhat a small lot of land, but it looks large, but it has some topography issues, which I'm sure the applicant can get into. That's what you have before you.
Anything else, Jim?
Nope, that's it at this time. It's a development plan for review, so not the site plan that we just went through. Development plan as it meets the further thresholds.
We've opened the meeting. Have the neighbors been properly notified?
Yes, I have.
Have we received green cards back?
Yes, we have.
Okay. What was yours, sir?
Great. I think Jim summarized everything. Great. So, done.
Okay.
No, just kidding. My name is Shane Oates. I'm with Center Mount Land Development out of Raynham, Massachusetts. So I'm here representing Nick Tiernan. He's the owner of NERT LLC. They're a facilities manager basically throughout New England. So originally, when this project started a few years ago, right when COVID hit, they anticipated utilizing this for themselves. They were going to move in here. They have a lot of equipment. Since then, they have found a relatively much larger building and facility because they have a lot of vehicles, obviously. They do a lot of landscaping, snow plowing, stuff like that. So they're in Lincoln, Rhode Island now, but they still own the property. So we've been chipping away at this. We've been out on the site a few times doing some soils tests. So we think we have, a nice little project for them. Basically, the site is about 7.2 acres. It's on the southern side. Here's I-95. This plan's not straight up. This is north. This is south. And then we're on the western side of Maple Street too, as well. It is designated 0 Maple Street for now until we get a real address. So the topography of the site, we come up the site, flat area where it was cleared, which is why it was cleared. It was the only spot they could use for storage. And then it drops down significantly to a perennial stream that's unnamed. Campanelli Industrial Park's right here, right? You can see the building right across the way. Some ledge outcropping, although it breaks apart, it's not your typical ledge type stuff. So we think we'll be able to do it with machinery, any type of earthwork we need. But basically what we've done as well, so I'll just show you some of these lines. This little dash line, that's the 100-foot buffer from the BBW. Here we have our BBW line. So there's no disturbance within the 100-foot BBW, but because we have our perennial stream, we have inner and outer riparian lines here. Here's our inner riparian 100-foot zone. Again, no disturbance in there. We've been speaking with the Conservation Commission. We have our first public hearing in 2 weeks. We're in front of them for the first time. So they did do an ANRAD a few years ago. So the commission, well, although it might have switched by now, some of the members, they are familiar with the site. And Ann is familiar with the site as well from that previous island. So here's our outer riparian line. So this is the 100 to 200 foot swell, so we do have disturbance in there. We have limited our disturbance to less than 10% so that we meet those requirements as well. So basically what we're proposing is a 12,250 square foot building. Kind of small in relation to the buildings that are around there, but what Nick would like to do is basically just divide it into 7 units, 25 feet wide, 70 feet deep, for industrial type lease tenants. So we're gonna come in right here. We have parking in the front, some parking in the side and the rear, front doors. And then in the back, we're gonna have some large overhead doors as well. So because of the topography constraints, we are proposing a lot of walls on the north and south side. And we'll see what those actually end up being, but I think they're gonna have to be those heavy, thick block walls because of the heights that we're gonna need. We're meeting the parking requirements based on the industrial parking zoning code. Quickly. So basically, as far as our grades, we're coming up into the site through the front driveway, grading down grassed areas, again, retaining walls to the north, to the south, and then tying back in here. We do have an area for some trash location dumpsters that'll be enclosed. So as far as stormwater, what we're doing is we're just collecting it into basically directly into storm scepter units, so we can clean that runoff from the paved areas. So we have one on the north, one on the south, and a double one, a larger storm scepter to the west. Then we're taking all that flow and putting it right into recharge chambers. So basically, these 2 small systems to the north and the south, and a larger recharge system to the west, those have the volume and capability to store the 100-year storm. So this site, just as I heard previously, that MS4, this site kind of kills it in relation to that. All the flow from the 100-year storm, at least, I think we're at like 72% of impervious areas will go directly and be stored and recharged back into the ground. There is a small portion of the front parking lot which grades down and goes into Maple Street. Again, our drainage report has shown that we've met our pre and post development rates of runoff are less than they are today. There probably would be an opportunity, depending on the town and the DPW, of putting a small inlet on the lower side of the driveway and tying it into the existing system, instead of letting any of that flow. Right now, we just have a small lip there to control the velocity coming down. So that's basically grading and drainage overview. Again, we do have emergence. We have the overflow out into a flared end section and riprap for the larger system. The smaller systems are self-contained. The overflow is just through the catch basins, which will ultimately make it offsite as well. As far as utilities, we're utilizing fire and domestic water service off of Maple Street, electrical service with a proposed transformer going into a little utility room at the corner of one of the units there. This is a proposed septic system, which we'll have to get approved with the Board of Health after we get through here, making sure, we'll submit to them once we know the layout's not going to change. And then lastly, we just did a small little landscaping plan. So again, grassed areas in the rear of the property, to the front along the slopes. These slopes are 3-to-1 side slopes. A handful of trees, flowering shrubs, just some screening and some screening out towards the back as well. So I think that's pretty much just a quick overview. So if anyone has questions, happy to answer.
Yeah, I would say just, we can peer review or whatever, and which is generically, properties that previously anyways, for some of the properties that have flooded 495, we'd like to make sure that there's screening, that we don't see the back of.
Right along here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add some additional shrubbery here. There is a wall here. But yeah, we can add some shrubbery along the other side of the wall there.
Yeah, and in the front as well. Across the street is a bit of a rough zone, but if you go further down Maple Street, it becomes more of a.
Yeah.
It's more wooded.
Yeah,
So as much of, if we can keep that continuity,
sure.
that would be.
Yeah, there's opportunity to add more landscaping here,
Yeah.
collar type shrubs and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure the applicant wouldn't mind that as well.
I,
Would be a
I,
feature.
as best you can. Mike.
Sure. Yep, we absolutely can do that.
Storage?
So right now, snow storage will go, it's one or two options, depending on what type of vehicles need to access. This back swath is 70 feet. So that can accommodate a very large vehicle. They can probably use the perimeter of that for some snow storage. Otherwise, they're gonna have to have it removed offsite. Similar to some other small sites we've done recently, so. yeah.
Bays are gonna be drive-through.
So there will be, no, so it's just gonna be a front door access. And then the rear door, overhead doors, they'll be able to back in and load or unload, load or unload, whatever.
What size trucks do you plan on, tractor trailer?
No, it'd be a tractor trailer, can't make 70 feet, they need more like 110 feet. So we're talking more like box trucks type vehicles, yeah. And I think the doors are 12 by 14, so not too big.
We don't require washing for them, do they?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, so it's not that heavy truck traffic by any means, I don't know why.
One box truck per subdivision, so seven.
Yeah, so
Seven box trucks parked out back.
each unit has its own overhead door. You can see between the bollards here, they're actually 12 foot wide, 12 foot high overhead doors right now. So in between each unit will have one overhead door.
The idea is to have 7 separate leases. for this?
Yes, yep.
And what type of businesses do you think would go in?
That's a good question. So again, they're relatively small units. They're just 25 by 70, so. We just did a building of this size in Raynham. It's really like, there's like a landscaper in there. There's a bakery delivery service in there, those type of really small businesses. Cause again, there's just not that room to have a large business.
Enough to have small warehouses in front. It's just basically park your truck and.
Right, exactly, yep. Yeah, so I don't know if they have any leads on tenant yet, I doubt it. I haven't seen a lease sign out at the site yet, so. But I can definitely, next time I'm back, I can ask like what type of leads they might have for businesses there, what do you anticipate?
Yeah, we'd be interested.
Absolutely.
Just because we always look at the worst case scenarios when we start
Yep,
going through this.
of course, yep, sure.
Quick glance.
Yeah.
With 7 separate tenants. The parking they've shown only allows for 3, maybe 4 parking spaces per
Yeah,
tenant. If a tenant had 4 employees, 5 employees, is that something that might happen or?
so again, they don't know, we base the parking based on the zoning requirement, which is 2 per 1,000. So that's kind of what we give them there. I think there's 1 additional parking space, but I don't anticipate this being like there's not any retail component to it. There's not a big office component to it. It's kind of like contractor base in essence, like they come in the morning, they do what they need to do, then they're gone for the day, come back in the afternoon type thing. I think that's what's really anticipated. So almost what NERT does, but on a much smaller scale, they're facility managers of large properties. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'll ask, Nick if he has any guesses or his best estimates of what type of businesses might go in there. But, if you own a larger or mid-sized business, obviously this isn't going to be your landing spot. And when he goes to lease them, they'll have parking limitations, so, yeah.
This is our first meeting, so down the road, we'll probably have a lot more questions.
Sure.
My first question is hours of operation.
So we think it's basically, what did I put in here? I'm just gonna read a sentence I had written in the narrative. Given the size limitations for each unit again, minimal full-time on-site employees are expected and general hours of operation are forecast to be 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. daily.
We'd like to stay within that block of hours.
Oh, of course.
Basically, you're approaching a neighborhood,
Yep. Right on the other side, yeah.
and we want to reduce traffic as much as we can
Yeah.
during the evening hours, so we would like you to work within the 7 to 6 time frame.
Of course. I would anticipate too, given what we just discussed on the use, probably like 7 to 3 or 4, right,
Okay.
when they come back and wrap up, yeah.
I know you guys, development mentioned you have 7 different units.
Yep,
Is there the capability to store any vehicles inside?
so they could probably fit a box truck in the building itself, yes, yep.
No work to be done on those vehicles.
They wouldn't be able to because there's no town sewer available in Maple Street, so you couldn't have that oil grease separate. You couldn't have internal floor drains for that type of
Okay.
stuff, yeah. That'll obviously have to be a condition or through the building department, yeah. Yep.
And I assume, chemical exposure would be limited. But
Yeah,
You may have people storing fertilizer and the like there.
yep. We
Lawnmowers
have,
with oil, that type of thing.
right, we have in our stormwater report, we have a pretty extensive O&M plan.
Yep.
A long-term pollution prevention plan, everything is in there that they'll have to follow. We even gave them a maintenance log that they'll have to follow, so, yeah, we have, that's all been in there. It's all in the report, yep,
Safety risk management manual as well.
yep.
Okay.
So that'll be probably provided by the owner, by NERD at some point.
As opposed
Yeah.
to individual.
Yes, exactly,
wanna-
because it's his building, right, yeah, he's gonna wanna protect it. Yep.
What about lighting? Any idea on lighting yet?
No, so I am guessing that they'll probably just have external wall packs in the rear.
Yeah.
Just for security reasons. Again, this isn't retail office, nothing nothing evening, so they'll probably just have some security lighting in the rear of the property.
Signage?
Probably, and we can show that, we didn't make it, so there'll probably just be a monument sign out front for each of the tenants. It'll be like a basically an in-ground monument sign that'll have spaces for all the 7
Okay.
businesses, yeah. But we can show that on the plans.
Those are the only questions I have.
I've got quite a few. Sorry if I get long-winded. So from the Conservation Commission side, I know you're going in front of them.
Yep.
Is there an open order of conditions on the project for the clearing? Or,
So there was an ANRAD to lock in the wetland line. And then I'm not sure what was left in place from 2020 when there was clearing. I don't know if there was like cease and desist or something.
oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't, I'm not sure. I know something was going on. He may have done like, there may have been a notice of intent filing for after the fact work.
Okay.
I think is what it was there, yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
whenever there's the 200-foot riparian zone, that does complicate things.
Yeah,
Cause like, was an alternatives analysis and stuff
Yeah.
submitted for that?
Yeah.
Okay, cause I
Yeah.
know typically when you have the riparian zone, there is a chance that there's gonna be some revisions with the plans.
yes, and this is a very odd site in that there's no disturbance within the buffer. So there's no wetland buffer disturbance. It's just all outer riparian zone.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So regarding stormwater, I
Yeah.
know it's not the greatest soils, it's C-type. I think your Rawls rate 0.27 inches per hour or something. Now, on the left, this left-hand side,
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm just grabbing my drainage report. Go ahead.
I know there's a substantial amount of exposed ledge.
Yeah.
And outcrops. And some of these have significant cuts into existing grade,
Yeah,
which, I mean, if there's exposed ledge, I know just from my perspective, it's just questionable if these things are actually going to be able to infiltrate, because you need 2 foot.
so we're not proposing any systems where there are ledge outcroppings. They're interior of them, basically, so
Wasn't,
this one's clear.
well, this is the ledge out.
Oh, just the
here,
corner here, yeah.
and up there as well.
Yeah, it's a corner, so I mean, depending on how easily that breaks up, they might have to shift these a little bit
Well, what I
to
mean,
the east.
you're still within the mound, like
Sure.
there might be the exposed ledge, but you're
Yeah.
cutting into a mound, which I feel you can probably assume that there's some rock. in
Yeah,
there.
it just depends how deep it is.
And there's a
Yeah.
substantial cut, I know, especially with this one, at the lower one, so.
Yeah. So we did a bunch of soils testing out there based on an original design, so, we didn't hit any, in the areas we dug, so we'll show those on the plans.
Well, I think the test pits that you have shown on the plans are along the front of the site.
That's for septic, the
Well,
septic system.
where, because I know you have. I know you list quite a few test pits.
Yeah,
Look at
they might not all be on this plan. So the ones that are shown on the grading and drainage plan, those test holes were done for septic system.
All right,
So we have another set that we've done for drainage as well.
yeah, 'cause
Yeah.
I know I would really like to see those, because
Yeah.
if it's not gonna infiltrate, if it's gonna go into ledge, that's an issue.
Right,
So that's drainage perspective.
yeah,
So it sounds like you're not gonna have indoor prop storage because of the,
right.
um,
Oh, I don't think that's the idea with
Nick.
those, yeah.
is there an intent to store any type of fleet vehicles or anything along that back, the 70 feet of paved area?
So right now, no, that, we need that for turning radii, so, that'll have to be written in the leases as well, that. A lot of times with these buildings, people will end up storing stuff here and putting up a fence for their stuff, and this is gonna have to be in the lease, that'll have to stay clear.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I know if
Yeah.
you have the outdoor fleet storage, now you're going into the LUPL standards, which you
Yeah.
probably need with the storm scepters. I just don't
Yeah.
know about water quality volume.
Yeah,
And then also on another note, I'm going back to the parking. There's
Yeah.
3 parking spaces on, if you're looking at the plan along the right side,
yeah,
which has the.
right here,
Yes,
Yep.
yep, and it's within the 15-foot drive aisle, which I don't think is gonna be adequate for backing up, and maybe at least 24 feet, so I think those are gonna have to be relocated.
sure, we can look at that.
Yeah.
I think we put a little vehicle template on there, I'll bring, we have a turning template. Like
Yeah.
we did for this as well, I can submit that.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
but 15 feet, I really don't think it's gonna be adequate. 24 feet is the minimum, usually the industry standard,
Yeah,
unless you've got a,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, what we'd probably end up doing is and I'll have to revisit that template, I mean, these could become, diagonal, angled parking spaces. Cause this is one way anyways, right, through the 15-foot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I guess the last question. I know you're proposing retaining walls.
Yep.
And some of them are pretty tall,
Yep,
which is fine.
Yep.
A couple of the ones along the side of 495, how
sure.
much space do you have to the property line?
So typically, we try to put 3 to 5 feet there, I think it's 3 feet for this smaller one. And 5 feet for this one.
It's like 5 feet, but
Or they-
like right where.
that was, you know,
Is even 5 feet with a wall that size might, and if there's ledge outcrop, it might not be adequate, so I don't know how constructible those are, and. I assume getting a grading easement from DOT within 495 is probably not what you or the applicant want to go through.
Yeah, this basically ranges from 3 to 5 feet. Again, these walls I've shown as 5 foot wide, the big blocks.
Mhm.
I mean, you could go down to a much smaller block to get a few extra feet. And I think, if they hire a geotechnical engineer, they may be able to use some of this ledge as a wall as well. Depending on what type of ledge it is. Who knows?
Yeah,
So,
that's just concerning. It
Yeah.
seems a little questionable, because I don't know, I mean, if you go with a smaller block, now they're most likely gonna need GeoGrid, which you're
yeah,
not gonna be able to squeeze that in
right,
within the property line.
Yeah.
So from a constructability standpoint, I don't really see that being too feasible,
okay,
but something to look into.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, there's some room here too to modify the edge of pavement here and bring it in tight, but those walls will be designed by,
Yeah, they're gonna,
not me, that's for sure.
they're gonna actually be designed by a
Yeah,
structural.
exactly.
So,
Yep.
okay,
I have one question.
Yeah.
How come the building footprint is right there? Was there a reason for that?
So we're only allowed so much, this is the outer riparian zone, you're only allowed up to 10% disturbance.
Okay.
Including grading within that outer riparian, so. Basically, we could shift things this way, or you can't shift anything this way at all, or you'll trigger that 10%, yeah.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up question, is there any magic to having that building that size? Could it be slightly shrunk, maybe there's 6 of those bays?
So that's the financial question.
Yeah.
They're trying to maximize the site for what they paid for, they paid for it a while ago, and then they acquired this smaller piece as part of it, so.
Yeah.
It's that type of thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any renderings for the building?
Not yet.
No? Do you think
They're trying,
they might have those at some point?
yeah, I'm sure once once we kind of understand the layout and we're set with the layout, I'm sure we can get a rendering done.
Yeah, it'd be nice just to see what it's gonna look like.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. I think they can actually do some of that in-house, so I can have them maybe put something together for the next meeting.
perfect, just sign of what
Yeah.
they kind of have in mind would be.
Yeah.
I think beneficial for everybody.
Sure.
That's all I have.
Any other questions? Joe, I think at this point, we may want to, recommend a peer review for, stormwater.
Yeah, absolutely. We can begin, Amy and I can begin to work on that, getting a stormwater peer review initiated with the applicant. We also may want to get them in front of the fire chief and get them the turning radius so that we can confirm that it gets all around the building.
Yep.
Sure.
I'm sure that can be easy to facilitate.
Yep.
Anyone in the public have any comments? What I'd like to do, if it's okay with you, is make a motion to continue to our September 14th meeting.
Okay, is there any way we could get the peer review started and can we get a peer review before that meeting so we can make any necessary revisions, responses, stuff like that? Because that's 2 months from now. You guys just meet once a
Right.
month, right?
Right. We can do that as long as, the funds are in place
Yeah.
and all the agreements are signed and all of that. I
Yeah.
think we could do that. Jim, does that sound fair?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As long as we can get the contract moving along, we can get the peer review initiated and maybe a few
Yeah.
rounds.
That could work.
Yeah, so because if we can get the peer review in and I can respond, I'll go up there
Try to
and
do
do
that
some
as
soils testing.
Yes,
Then maybe we come back in
Right.
September and there's some limited things left.
I do think that's a possibility.
That's fine.
I think that's, is that fair?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it
Yeah.
ultimately saves us a meeting as long as we're still moving forward.
Right.
I think we will be moving
Yeah,
forward.
great, perfect.
Okay,
All right,
yep,
and again, Amy will let you
yeah,
know about the
absolutely.
process
Okay,
to secure the peer review.
Mhm.
sure. Okay,
Do I need a motion, Jim, for that?
Not for the peer review, but when you're ready to continue, just to the date certain.
I entertain a motion to continue 0 Maple Street. And by the way, I would suspect at our next meeting, we'll have a definitive address for this.
I have to check with Betsy
Okay.
on how she does that.
To continue this to our meeting on September 14th.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Dennis,
Brian, aye. Bill, aye.
Go on.
Nick, I.
Motion passes unanimously.
thank you all.
Thank you
Great to
very
meet you all.
much. We'll see you in 2 months. Thank you. Yeah, travel officer.
Thank you.
We made a motion to sign the A and R. So if we can get that signed in the interim, we can look at the minutes from our last meeting.
Tina's still working on those. She
Okay.
will have those for the next meeting.
Okay.
Mhm. And we may have,
Sorry?
I'm not sure if we have Bill, the comments from the public for Zoom. So just a few, maybe that just joined in.
Anyone have any comments from the public? You okay in the motion?
You're looking good, Jim.
Motion to adjourn? Have a second?
Second.
All in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 Bill, aye.
Go on.
Nick, I.
A and I.
We are adjourned.
See you guys. Great job.
Thank you.